Hi guys! A little bit of admin first to get out of the way. I'm really sorry that I missed this upload in the middle of the week. I usually film my Once Upon a Time reviews the day after I've watched it, which would usually be watch it on the Monday, review it on the Tuesday and get my review uploaded on the Wednesday, but unfortunately I couldn't do that this week. I say unfortunately, I was away for the weekend and it was great and I didn't get back till Tuesday, so didn't have time to film it during the week. The weather was also pretty terrible, so lighting wise when I got home from work it just wasn't going to happen. So today I'll be reviewing episode 4 of season 5 of Once Upon a Time, Broken Kingdom. It has been a few days since I've watched the episode and so I feel like I don't have as much to kind of ramble out with as I usually do when I film it the next day. But there were a few things, obviously, as you can probably suspect, that I loved about this episode. So really what we find out at the end of the previous episode is that Arthur was not who we thought he was, and he maybe does not have the best of intentions with our group of people in Storybrooke. So coming into this episode, this was an episode that was very non-Storybrooke. Rather than jumping between Storybrooke and Camelot, it was kind of jumping between time in Camelot, so we were finding out what had made Arthur into the person that he is today. So in the past we see him as a little boy telling Guinevere that there's been this prophecy from Merlin that there will be a king of Camelot and he will be the one who pulls the sword from the stone. And then years later we see him pull the sword from the stone and of course it's broken. So he becomes completely obsessed with fixing this because he feels that he's not ever going to be the true ruler of Camelot until he has the complete Excalibur. He becomes completely consumed by it and it completely tears apart his relationship with Guinevere. She feels ignored, she feels like he doesn't love her anymore because all he can talk about and think about is the sword and getting this dagger. He's found out that the dagger of the Dark One is the other part of Excalibur and that's what he's on the mission to find. So through all this, Lancelot has been a support to Guinevere, he has been a good friend and he's been someone who has really cared for her. And in times like, I think it might have been her birthday, but it was her birthday, when there was a big party that had been all set up for her. It was Lancelot that set it all up and so he was the one who was always kind of there for her, and we start to see where the issues between Arthur and Lancelot have stemmed from. When Arthur is off on a wild goose chase to find the dagger, Guinevere herself has managed to find out where it is and is going on her own trip to find it to try and win back her husband. Lancelot agrees to go with her, he doesn't want her going by herself, and on this trip they kiss. We can see that there's definite chemistry between them, we can see that there's a definite spark and that he definitely really cares about her. They finally find the Vault of the Dark One and when they get in there they meet Rumpelstiltskin, who's like, no, I'm not going to give you this, don't be so ridiculous, do you really think I'd be stupid enough to let you take my dagger? However, I will give you the next best thing, which is something that will make it appear like it's whole again. He gives them this magical powder that can fix something that's broken or appear to fix something that's broken. They go back to Camelot. Arthur witnesses a moment between them outside the window, at which point he realises that there's something going on between them. When Guinevere goes back into the castle and presents him with this magical powder, she says you can fix Excalibur with this. It might not be the proper piece of it, but you can make it look as if it is. Arthur is having none of it though. He feels totally betrayed by his best friend and by his wife, and instead of accepting it and saying, right, we can try again for a relationship and I will use this powder on the sword, he uses the powder on Guinevere. As a way of kind of trying to fix their broken marriage, he throws this powder on her and she goes all sort of spaced out as you do, and then thinks that everything's totally fine between them and forgets her love for Lancelot, which is horrible. And he then throws, this is the one question that I did have, he then throws some of the powder out of the window like over the kingdom and it totally transforms the castle into this like really fancy palace that it wasn't before. How powerful is this stuff? And like, I don't know in terms of like this powder, I thought that it would be just to fix something small scale, but apparently it can fix something as big as you like. So that's the state of affairs in Camelot in the past, and during that time we've been jumping between that and Camelot in the present, where Snow and Charming have started off having a huge fight over King Arthur, because obviously, as I said in last week's review, David has just been made like a knight at the round table. He has, you know, totally put his faith in King Arthur, and now Snow's coming out and being like, yeah, no, you can't trust him. I've spoken to Lancelot, who we thought was dead, but he's not, and you can't trust him, he is awful, and they have a huge big fight about it. I kind of enjoyed that moment because it was like, it was something a little bit different in terms of interaction between them. We haven't seen them in that sort of feisty mode for a while. In fact, it's been ages since we've seen them in anything other than kind of like cute married couple mode. So I like that they had that kind of fight and Regina was quite entertaining throughout that. David goes to King Arthur and tells him the truth. He tells him who they are, he tells them who Aemma is, that she is the Dark One, that they have the dagger. Arthur says, if you give me the dagger, that is the best chance that we have to save your daughter, because I will reunite it with Excalibur and that will be it. The darkness will be squashed or whatever, and Aemma will be free. So David appears to want to go along with this, and when he goes to get the dagger, it has vanished. Snow has run off with the dagger. She goes to meet up with Lancelot and they want to find a safe place to hide the dagger. Lancelot takes her to the Vault of the Dark One, where he and Guinevere went all those years before, and when they get down in there, who should appear following them but Arthur and Charming. Of course, this was all a huge big setup, because this was what they wanted to do. They wanted to lure Arthur into that situation so that they could betray him, basically. And it was nice to see that kind of fun stuff between Snow and Charming. Even though they'd had the fight, they had put their differences aside and they were working together for the good of their daughter. They get Excalibur from Arthur and they take it back to Granny's, and you think that everything's going to work out fine. And who walks in but Arthur and Guinevere carrying their magical powder. This I'm going to find really, really, really difficult to deal with. They've thrown the powder over David and Mary Margaret, and now they think the world of Arthur and Guinevere, and they're totally putting their faith and trust in them. And it's just awful, and it's going to be horrible, and I'm not a fan of that particular part of the storyline, but gotta keep the drama going, gotta keep the twists and turns coming. And it was just awful, because then they go back to Regina and they're like, no, we can totally trust Arthur and Guinevere. These are the people that we should trust, and Arthur's, you know, all he wants is the best for our daughter. And it's like, no, he doesn't. He's awful. So yeah, that's basically a sort of recap of what happened within the episode. And now on to the good stuff. Oh, the Captain Swan feels in this episode were just like off the scale. I think this might be the best Captain Swan episode yet, other than the season 3 finale, which will forever be the best episode of anything that has ever happened. But in terms of the interaction between the two of them in what now feels like a proper, like really sort of stable, loving relationship, was just the cutest thing that I've ever seen. I am slightly concerned that they gave us so much really good stuff in that episode, because then it makes me think like, oh, are they just trying to like, they gave us all of that like lovely, like all those lovely moments to set us up for the fact that things are going to be awful as of the next episode. Maybe not, maybe that's just me being paranoid, but I just feel like everything that happened between them in that episode was so perfect. I did just worry a bit that they were sort of like, have all the nice stuff in one go before we torture you. I think we'll get onto the kiss in the meadow scene later on, but first we've got to talk about the scene with Hook and Aemma and Henry. That, if the kiss in the meadow scene hadn't then happened later on, that would absolutely hands down be my favourite like scene of season 5 so far. In fact, probably my favourite scene of like for a long time, because it was just so cute. It kind of felt like what they would be like if they had a chance to be like a normal little family. Because Henry's now in his teens and he's got a crush on this girl, and just the interaction between him and Hook when Hook's kind of teasing him and being like, oh, there's a girl involved, and you just felt like he was being that kind of like teasing father figure sort of situation, and it was like the worried mum, like, oh, my son's got a crush and he wouldn't tell me about it, and he's like embarrassed by them and telling them to go and hide, which was, oh, I just loved it. I loved that scene. It was amazing. And so of course after Henry has gone off with Violet, we see sort of Hook and Aemma talking about it, and it was nice. It was a moment of like light relief in among all this heavy stuff. We'd already had that really nice scene at the beginning, well, I'm calling it nice, but that scene at the beginning of the episode where Emma's hearing the dagger calling to her, so she's gone to go and find it, and then, you know, she's sort of tried to throw magic on the invisible Rumpelstiltskin and it's gone, and it's almost hit Killian, and then they've had that little moment where he's given her a hug and told her that it's just the two of them and they're together. They're just so cute. I can't handle it. But anyway, all of this kind of heavy, dark, dramatic stuff and her battle with her inner demons and all that's been going on. So it just felt like this nice moment of light relief where she's like, he just like lied to my face and I'm the dark one. And Hook's like, yeah, you're also his mother. So obviously teenage boy is going to lie to his mum about having a crush. He's not going to want to sit and talk to her about it. And it was just nice. It was a nice moment, and it felt like, as I say, it just felt like reflective of what their lives could be like if they had a normal existence. And then we had the whole horse riding situation, which I read a couple of reviews which I sort of agree with, that it all felt slightly metaphorical, the whole horse ride situation. But yeah, I just love that. I love that it was all about her just completely putting her faith in him and letting go of any kind of like defences or like fears that it wasn't going to work out, and just trusting that he was going to make everything work out, even if it was just for that day. And even when the horse kind of kicked off and wasn't, you know, wanting her to touch it and whatever, he was still just like, just trust me, and everything's going to be okay. And they've gone off on this horse ride, and she's got the white flowing cape on, and he's looking dashing and whatever. And it was like that scene, the horse ride scene, the setting up for the horse ride scene, and then the kiss in the meadow scene at the end was all just like, it was like the most perfect fairy tale scenes that you could imagine. It was all done so beautifully. So that final scene I could talk about forever, because it was just the most beautiful, like visually beautiful thing that they've done in a really long time. And apparently those flowers are quite significant. They have like a significant meaning, a significance in China. Those flowers have that it's something to do with like a couple who are going to be united forever and whatever. So obviously I was quite pleased to read about that. But yeah, so those flowers had like quite a lot of significance. And I read a review of this episode actually. Let me just check this on Twitter actually, because you should go and read her reviews, because honestly they're like the loveliest things that you'll ever hear. She did a post that was just all about, it was like this huge article all about Captain Swan and the like significance of hands and hearts, and it's just like the most gorgeous thing that you've ever read in your life. Her blog name is The Girly Nerd, and her Twitter name is The Girly Nerd, and I'm just double checking that her name is Marianne, because I think it's Marianne. But yeah, it just sort of melted my heart a little bit, and it just, with everything else that was going on, it just felt like they gave us just some really nice, like sweet romantic moments between them in this episode, and I am all for that. More of that, please. And then, of course, we jump to the very, very final scene where we see Emma, and she is in her dark swan attire, and she's holding the flower that Killian has given her when they were in that meadow in Camelot. So obviously she's held on to that, and she's thinking back to those moments. And she's having a conversation with Rumpel, who is basically saying, look, I know how it feels to be like this. I know what it's like to feel like that tug and that conflicted feeling when you're the dark one and you've got that kind of struggle inside you, and I know how terrible it is, so you don't have to do this. And she's like, yes I do, like you are going to do what I want you to do. And after, you know, a bit of a conversation, she basically says, I'm going to make you brave because that's what you need to be. And you know, obviously that's, you know exactly where that's then leading, and we see Emma walk out round under like a sort of underpass situation to where her yellow bug's sitting, and Merida is tied to the front of the car. So Emma takes out her heart, so she has complete control over her, a la what Rumpel did to Killian last season. Back to that horrible situation that I hated. I apologise for the weird lighting, by the way, but what are you going to do? It's October in Scotland. She then instructs Merida to go and get her bow and arrows from the back of the car, which appears to be in there, and explains to her that she is, you know, she's got a job for her, and she is going to teach someone to be brave like her. So all in all, I loved that episode. I thought like it was as if they could have like designed an episode that was just going to make me happy. They did it. Other than the really frustrating thing with the powder with Mary Margaret and David, everything else was just amazing, and loved it. And now I can't wait for the next episode, which thankfully, because this is Saturday, is happening tomorrow. I really hate that there are only going to be 10 episodes before the hiatus this season, as far as I'm aware, or it might be like 11 because I think one's a double episode. But the season finale, or the mid-season finale, is going to be in November, which is very soon, and I'm not ready to have to get up and go to work on a Monday morning yet without the knowledge that I'm coming home to watch the new episode. So I thought it was amazing. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought of that episode. I loved it. I could talk about it all day. I would talk about it all day, so if you want to have a conversation about any of the cute moments or not so cute moments, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up, or thumbs up for Captain Swan feels. We got a really tiny Robin and Regina scene, which I appreciated because I felt like we weren't going to get one in the whole episode, so it was nice that we saw one little moment with them. So I enjoyed that. But yeah, thumbs up for all the cute moments. And if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to catch up with all of my reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope that you're having a lovely day, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye! He's been very, very strong so far because he just wants to save the women that he loves. Speaking of which, do you know what really gets me? What really gets me is that he has now